Gabe Johnson here, introducing the consumer version of our most popular military-grade product.
Hello.
The turret. How do we get so many bullets in them? Like this. Plus, we fire the whole bullet. That's 65% more bullet per bullet. This is the same technology we've been using on robots for decades. Scares the hell out of them.
Valve is an American
They come in
video
hundreds
game
of designer colors,
developer,
including
publisher,
forest,
and digital distribution
desert,
company.
table,
The company was founded
evening
by
at the
Gabe,
Improv.
Newell,
What
and
idiot
Mike
picked me?
Harrington, and was founded on
Then we
August
box them up
24th,
and ship them
1996
straight to
in
your
Kirkland,
doorstep.
Washington, U.S.
So you can
As
protect
of
the things
2012,
that
the
matter
company
most.
has a total equity of
Just try and get close to that
$2.5 billion
baby.
US dollars.
Your funeral.
And to this
Gabe
very
Johnson,
day,
we're
the
done
company
here.
is still alive and healthy. So, how did it become so popular? Let's find out. Founding and half-life from 1996 to 2003. Valve was founded in 1996 by former longtime
Gabe Johnson
Microsoft
here.
employees
This is a
Gabe
test
Newell
chamber.
and Mike
4
Harrington.
walls, ceiling and a
Newell
floor.
had spent
Good enough for
the
science.
prior 13 years
Not aperture
at
science.
Microsoft
Gentlemen,
developing Windows.
I give you panels.
Wanting to move on to a
Planks
new
of
venture
tomorrow.
using their shared wealth, they founded
Fully
Valve
configurable.
LLC in Kirkland,
Infinitely
Washington,
variable.
about 5 miles from the
Safe.
Microsoft campus in
Aperture
Redmond
brand panels
on
will assist
August
your test
24th,
subjects every step of the way.
1996, Newell's wedding day. Alternative names considered
That is
by
not a panel.
Newell and Harrington
Crusher.
include
Resell them too.
Fruitfly Assemble and Rhino Scar. Valve's first product was Half-Life, a first-person shooter FPS with elements of the horror genre.
Steam.
The development was aided by
All the
access
games
to
you
the
love.
Quake engine
50
by
million of
ID
your closest
Software.
friends.
Valve
Trading,
modified this
workshop,
engine into
summer
their
sales.
gold source engine.
What could be better?
After struggling to find
But
a publisher,
sometimes
Valve
you
eventually
just wanna
signed
kick it in the living
with
room.
Sierra
There
Online.
are lots of ways to play games in there.
Half-Life was released in November
when you go in there,
1998
why should you
and
have
was
to
a
make
critical
all new friends?
and commercial
Leave
success.
the internet behind.
According to
And worst of all,
IGN in
give up all your
2014,
favorite
the
games.
history of the FPS
Well,
genre
no
breaks
more.
down pretty
Now,
cleanly
you can
into
bring Steam
pre-Half-Life
with you.
and post-Half-Life
Welcome
eras.
to Big Picture, where
Valve
Steam
enlisted
comes to
Gearbox
your
Software
TV.
to develop 3 expansions
And
for
with it, your
Half-Life.
library of all your favorite
Valve
games.
acquired TF Software
All your
in
Steam
1998, a
all
group
the
that
stuff they
made
make,
popular Team
and the best
Fortress
deals
mod for
on the
Quake,
best new
and
games
remade
from
the
the store
mod
you're
for
used to,
Gold
where
Source
you
as
can get
Team
all the
Fortress
latest
Classic,
titles.
releasing the following
Anywhere
year.
you can run Steam,
The
you can
company
run Big
released
Picture.
the software
You
development
choose how you
kit
wanna play.
SDK for the
If you
Gold
wanna bring a
Source
mouse and a
engine,
keyboard with you,
facilitating
cool, you can.
numerous
But the whole thing's been
user-curated
designed with
mods.
controllers in mind.
One of these,
even
Counter-Strike,
type with a game
became one
controller.
of the
What's
most
up with
popular
that?
mods, and Valve
Plus, a web
acquired
browser
the
for the
mod and
TV that
hired
doesn't suck.
its developers
It's
to
been designed
curate
for
the
controllers too.
standalone
It's
Counter-Strike
the world's
game.
first
Happy with
first-person browser.
happy with the company's success, Harrington left in 2000.
So try out Big Picture.
Expansion,
All you
Source
do is
Engine,
click a button.
and Steam from 2003
Come
to
join me.
2010. In 2003, Valve moved to Bellevue, Washington, and reincorporated as Valve Corporation.
Rated M for
In
mature.
2010, the office moved again to a larger location in Bellevue. In 2016, Valve signed a 9-floor lease in the Lincoln Square complex in downtown Bellevue, doubling the size of their offices. After the success of Half-Life, the team worked on mods, spin-offs, and sequels, including Half-Life 2, using its new Source engine, improving upon its Gold Source engine. Team Fortress 2 was a reworked version of Team Fortress Classic, developed in the Source engine. To expand on Half-Life 2, Valve had planned on releasing 3 episodes to extend its story prior to a planned Half-Life 3. With the second episode, Valve also packaged the game for consoles in the orange box, which included Half-Life 2 and both episodes, Team Fortress 2 and Portal, an experimental game developed by a student team hired into Valve from their work on Nabuccular Drop. Of the Orange Box games, Portal proved a critical success, and later Valve developed Portal 2, hiring another student from the game Tag the Power of Paint to incorporate those mechanics. Alongside developing games, Valve developed Steam, a digital storefront and delivery platform. The concept of Steam bore out of Valve trying to maintain patches for games like Counter-Strike so that all players were up to date. Failing to gain help from other third-party developers, Valve took it on themselves to build out Steam, which was first introduced in 2002 and eventually became mandatory by the time of Half-Life 2's release. Steam initially offered only Valve's games, but they soon allowed third parties to sell on the service, with Valve taking a cut of the revenues for maintaining the storefront and content delivery. Steam eventually became the most significant way gamers on the personal computer platform acquired digital games, with Steam accounting for up to 70% of all digital sales. In 2005, Forbes estimated that Valve had grossed $70 million that year. Ed Barton, a Screen Digest analyst, estimated Valve's 2010 revenue to be in the high hundreds of millions of dollars. As of 2011, the company had estimated worth of $2 to $4 billion, and according to Newell, it was the most profitable company per employee in the United States. Most of Valve's revenue comes from Steam, which controlled 50 to 70% of the market for downloaded PC games in 2011. In January 2008, Valve announced the acquisition of Turtle Rock Studios, which would be renamed Valve South. Turtle Rock developed Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 while associated with Valve. Turtle Rock Studios later spun out Valve again in March 2010. Valve hired IceFrog, the developer of Defense of the Ancients, a Warcraft 3 mod, in 2010. IceFrog led the development of a sequel not associated with the Warcraft elements, Dota 2, transitioned to services and a flat structure from 2010 to 2015. Portal 2, a standalone sequel to Portal, was released in April 2011. The release was preceded an alternate reality game called Potato Stack that Valve arranged with several indie game developers on Steam to advance Portal 2's release by several hours. As with the original Portal, Valve had hired
Hello,
another
investors.
DigiPen
Gabe Johnson
student
here. Now, I know you've sunk a lot of money into the dual portal device.
To
But I'm
help
here to
with
tell you,
the
we're not
game's
banging rocks
new
together
gel
over here.
substance
We know how to make
mechanics,
a quantum space hole.
Valve began
Carolyn?
closed beta testing of the free-to-play
Portal
game
here.
Dota 2 in
Look
2011
at
and
this
fully
thing go.
released the game to the public in 2013.
Now, we have run into a
Alongside
reproducible
Dota 2
human
in
error
2011,
problem.
Valve
A lot of
started the
expensive equipment getting
international
broken.
and annual
But don't worry,
esports
Gabe took
tournament
care of it.
for Dota 2
Gentlemen,
with a
I
prize
give you
pool
the
supported
long
by
fall
Valve
boot.
and funds
Think of it as
from
a foot-based suit of armor for the Portal
from
device.
battle passes purchased
I'm not gonna
by
lie to
the
you, it's
game's
expensive as hell.
players.
But
In
check
December
this out.
2012,
We
Valve
told this
acquired
test subject to just go ahead and try to
Studios,
land on
a
our head.
two-man gaming company, to open a San Francisco office. However,
You can't do
Valve
it.
ended the operation in August
work, Boots.
2013 when they
So anyway,
decided
we're
there
between
was
banks right
little
now. Just make
benefit
those checks out to
coming from
cash.
the
Gabe
arrangement.
Johnson, we're done here.
At the 2013 DICE Summit, Newell announced that he and film director J.J. Abrams were
Welcome to the
collaborating
Aperture
to produce
Science
a Half-Life
Enrichment
or
Center.
Portal
Let's look
film,
at some of the
as well as
challenges
a
you'll
possible
face as
new
a test
game.
participant.
Valve's
You may
activities
be
as a game
required to
developer had
perform
slowed
simple
down in the
tasks,
2010s,
such
around
as
the same time
locating
that
and
Valve
exit.
started to
These
reduce
simple
its
tasks may be
involvement in
supplemented with
creation on
insurmountable
Steam and via
obstacles. Thanks
Steam
to the
Greenlight,
Aperture Science
allowing a
handheld
larger
portal
influx
device,
of
the
titles
impossible
and gain its
is
dominant
easy.
position as the primary
Let's look at
digital
a real-world
storefront
example.
for PC gaming. After releasing Dota 2 in 2013, Valve's next major release was Artifact in 2018. However, Valve had also looked at other projects, including Steam Machine consoles, and developing virtual reality hardware in
Certain
association with
objects may be vital to
HTC
your
in
success.
the
If
HTC
at first you
Vive,
don't succeed,
and later
you
in
fail,
its own Valve
and the
Index
test will be
hardware.
terminated.
It has been
When
argued
stuck,
that the
remember
transition
our
from
motto,
game developer to
"There's a
service
hole in the
provider
sky
has been driven
through which
by
things
the
can
economics
fly."
in Steam, which estimated to bring in more revenue than Valve's own game sales. In 2017, Steam Spy estimated that Valve had received $4.3 billion in its revenues from Steam sales.
At the Enrichment
In
Center,
contrast,
we
Valve
believe
had
that a highly
estimated to have
motivated
had
test
only
subject
hundreds
can
of
carry
millions
out
of
rather
dollars in
complex
revenue around
tasks
2010
while
and
enduring the
2011,
most intense
with a
pain.
net
So in
worth
case you don't
estimated
make it
between
through the
$2 and
testing,
$4 billion. Many players had been waiting in anticipation of either the final episode of Half-Life 2 or a potential Half-Life 3, While word of several potential starts on games have been mentioned by former Valve employees or other companies, they remain in limbo as of 2019. Some consider
This
these
next
projects
test
to
is
be
impossible.
canceled due to the departure of some of the lead talent involved in earlier games. The change in Valve's approach has been attributed to its use of a flat organization structure that the company adopted in 2012. Valve had originally used a hierarchical structure more typical of other development
you're
firms,
thinking with
driven by the
portals.
nature of physical game releases through publishers that required tasks to be completed by given deadlines. However, as Valve
Gabe
became
Johnson
its
here.
own publisher
Every
via
time I
Steam,
look at our
it
test chamber
transitioned
production
to a
line,
looser,
I am
flat
reminded of my father.
structure.
Now, he wasn't a
Outside of
scientist,
executive
just a simple
management,
farmer,
Valve
a
does
professor
not
of farming
have
at the local farm
bosses,
college. Never
and the
farmed a day in his
company
life,
used
but
an
his
open
theories on farming are the
allocation
backbone of this
system,
company.
allowing employees
Do it from
to
scratch.
move between departments
Spare
at
no
will.
expense. And
This approach
never
allows
cut corners.
employees to work
Well,
on
that's
whatever
a corner-cutting
interests
machine.
them,
We obviously
but
cut them there.
requires them
Point
to
is,
take
we've always
ownership
done
of their
things the way my
product and
father did.
mistakes
And
they
his father
may
before
make.
him, and his father before
According
him, and
to
his father
Newell,
before him. And
Newell
we are almost
recognized
bankrupt.
that
So,
this
time for a
structure
cheaper
works
approach.
well for some,
Allow me to
but
introduce
that there are
the
plenty of great
multiverse.
developers
Infinite Earths
for
with an
whom
infinite number of
this
apertures.
is a terrible
And
place
as of
to
now,
work.
they are going to take over all
Many
test chamber
outside
construction.
observers believe the
And more
lack of
importantly,
organization
all paying
structure
for
has
test chamber
led to
construction.
frequent cancellations of potential
Why are
games,
they agreeing to do
as
that?
it can be
They're not.
difficult
We're
to
tricking
convince
them.
other employees
Here's
to
how
work
it works.
on
One,
such
design a
titles.
test.
Jeff
2,
Haley's
slip the mole monsters or what
documentary,
have you the
The Final
blueprint
Hours
when they're
of
not looking.
Half-Life Alyx,
3,
released in
once they
2020,
build it,
confirmed that
steal
many
it back.
projects had come
Look at
and
that sad
gone
little
during the
octopus.
early 2010s.
That's where you
Valve
come in.
employees
We need
interviewed
blueprints.
the
We are about to run the greatest
report
con game in the
reported
history of the
that
multiverse, and
these
you are the
projects were
bottleneck.
started
Yes,
and either
you.
canceled or
Get back to work.
transitioned to other games during this period. Among these including sequels Half-Life 3 and Left 4 Dead 3, a Dark Souls-like combat game called RPG, and a voxel-based game called ARTI. Additionally, virtual reality VR projects included SimTrek that had been developed by members from the Kerbal space program Borealis, based on the Half-Life 2 Episode 2 ship, as well as a new VR hardware Vader that was determined to be too costly compared to the HTC Vive project. One project, Shooter, became part of the lab. Sometime in the mid-2010s, after several of these projects had come and gone, the company recognized that something was amiss in how they were approaching their development in the flat structure, as stated in Kaylee's documentary. Robin Walker said, "We sort of had to collectively admit we were
Gabe
wrong.
Johnson here.
On
This
the
is a
premise
test chamber.
that you
4
will
walls,
be happiest
ceiling and a
if you
floor.
work on
Good enough
something
for
you
science.
personally want to work
Not
on
aperture
the
science.
most."
Gentlemen,
Additionally,
I give you
the
panels.
varied content
The
of
planks
multiple
of tomorrow.
projects pulled the development of the Source
Fully
2
configurable.
engine development, started to support
Infinitely
these new
variable.
engines in too many
Safe.
different directions,
Aperture
delaying
brand
its
panels
release
will assist your test
and
subjects every
impacting
step of the way.
these projects as well. SARCAR
That is not a panel.
2015, the company
pressure.
set a
Resell
goal
them
to
too.
curate their own VR headset separate from the current efforts with HTC and the HTC Vive, and a
Gabe Johnson
flagship
here.
VR
Fact.
game for
The
it.
key to any successful
focus on
cooperative
the
test is
company-
trust.
focus
And
the
as our
company's
data clearly
efforts.
shows, humans
The
cannot be
VR
trusted.
game ultimately
The solution?
would
Robots.
ultimately
Then
would become
fire the guys who
Half-Life
made those
Alyx.
robots and build better
Though
robots.
It did not start
Then run
off
those
as a
robots
planned
through a regimen of
Half-Life
trust
game,
exercises,
but instead
creating a
grew
foundation
out
of mutual
numerous
respect,
prototype
reinforced
games
by the
in
simulated
what works
bonds of
and
artificial
fits
friendship.
in Valve's wheelhouse
Inspiring
as a
stuff.
VR game.
And finally,
with Half-Life
we
universe
put that trust to the
proving
test.
to be a strong
Bam.
fit for VR.
Robots gave us 6 extra
Full
seconds of
development for
cooperation.
Alyx started around
Good job,
late
robots.
2016.
Gabe Johnson, we're done
And
here.
now we come to the present, which is virtual reality, Source 2, and new games. Valve publicly
Gabe
announced the
Johnson here,
Source 2 engine
introducing
in March
the consumer
2015,
version of our
later
most
porting
popular
the
military-grade
entirety of
product.
Dota 2 to the engine in
The
September
turret.
of that year.
How do we get so many bullets in them?
Valve also
Like
announced
this.
its collaboration
Plus,
with HTC
we fire the
and
whole
the
bullet.
HTC Vive
That's
VR
65%
headset, as well
more
as
bullet
the
per
Steam
bullet.
VR client.
This is the same
same
technology
month,
we've been using on
with
robots for
the hardware
decades.
released in 2016.
Scares the hell out of
Company
them.
bought Impulse
They come in
Sonic,
hundreds of designer
a
colors,
developer
including
of 3D
forest,
audio software in January
desert,
2017 and integrated
evening
it
at the Improv.
with
What
its
idiot picked
Bellevue
me?
offices.
Then
In
we
April
box them up and
2018,
ship them straight to
Valve
your
acquired
doorstep.
The independent video
So you can protect
the
the
independent
things that
developer
matter
Campo
most.
Santo, known for the
Just try and
2016
get close to
adventure
that
game
baby.
Firewatch.
Your funeral.
Campo
Gabe Johnson,
Santo
we're done here.
had planned to continue to develop its own games under Valve.
Hello, investors.
They
Gabe Johnson
initially
here.
helped
Now, I know you've sunk a lot
to
of money into the
develop
dual portal
Half-Life
device,
Alyx.
but I'm here to tell you we're
In
not banging
November
rocks together over
2018,
here.
Valve
We know how to
released
make a quantum
Artifact,
space
the digital collectible
Carolyn?
card game based
See?
on Dota 2
Over
with
here,
some
over
game
there.
designed by Richard Garfield.
Look at this thing go.
And the creator of Magic the Gathering.
We have run into a
The game had
reproducible human
unusual-
error problem.
Had
A lot of
the game
expensive
had
equipment
unusual
getting broken.
pay-for
But don't worry,
mechanics
Gabe
to
took care
acquire
of it.
new cards.
Gentlemen,
And did
I
not
give you
draw a
the
large
long
player
fall
base,
boot.
losing 95%
Think of it as a
of
foot-based
players
suit of armor for the portal device.
months after
I'm not gonna
release
lie to you, it's
and
expensive as
making
hell.
it a flop.
But check this
Valve
out.
stated in
Told
March
this test
2020
subject to
that
just go ahead and
they
try to
were
land on
working
her head.
to reboot the game, eliminate elements like the
She can't do it.
pay-for mechanics to add
Good work,
to
Moots.
address several
So anyway, we're
of
between
the
banks right now.
complaints
Just
from
make
the
those checks
initial
out to cash.
release.
Gabe Johnson, we're done
Valve
here.
announced its second generation of VR hardware, the Valve Index, in April 2019, with availability in June that year. In June 2019, Valve released Dota Underlords into
What's
early
inside the
access, an
orange
auto
box?
battler based on a
The
popular
best game
Dota 2
of all
community
time.
curated game mode, Dota Auto Chess. After several
Brain
failed
melted
attempts to
coffee
develop further
genius.
Half-Life projects in May 2020, Valve released Half-Life Alyx, a virtual reality game. According to members of the development team, much of its early development was honing the Source 2 engine.
Rated T2M.
Along with that, they had developed a number of game prototypes, but which never got a state that made sense to release for a game. And there's the history of Valve. So, how did it become so popular? Well, if you look at it this way, Steam is literally one of the biggest PC gaming websites in the whole entire world. People download their games from there all the time, and you could even play it on your big screen, and you could even use a controller to play your Steam games, which is actually pretty cool in my opinion. But anyways, that is it for today's video. If you guys happen to enjoy this video, please make sure you hit that like button, and also don't forget to subscribe. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!